The cargo ship rattled as it docked with the massive station. Una Park wiped the sweat from her forehead and looked at the view screen. Outside, the station called Crimson Fang floated in the darkness of space. It was huge, made of red metal that looked like teeth. She had heard stories about this place. None of them were good. "I don't like this," Minho said from the co-pilot seat. He was younger than Una, maybe 25, with nervous hands that drummed against the console. "We should drop the cargo and leave fast." Una nodded but said nothing. They needed the credits. The job paid well because nobody wanted to come here. Crimson Fang was an arena station, the kind of place where the galaxy's meanest creatures came to fight and kill for sport. The docking clamps locked into place with a heavy thud. Una stood and grabbed her jacket. It was old and patched in 3 places, but it was hers. She had owned it for 6 years, ever since she started flying cargo ships through the outer sectors. "Stay with the ship," Una told Minho. "I'll handle the delivery." "Una, I'll be fine." She wasn't sure if that was true, but she said it anyway. The cargo bay smelled like oil and metal. Una activated the loading dolly and began moving the supply crates toward the station's receiving dock. The station's interior was dark, lit by red lights that made everything look like blood. Aliens of different species walked past her. Most of them were tall, covered in scales or fur with claws and teeth that could tear through metal. None of them looked at her. Humans were common enough in the galaxy now, but they weren't respected. Most species saw humans as weak. Soft skin, no claws, no fangs, no armor, just pink fragile things that somehow survived in a universe designed to kill them. Una had stopped caring what aliens thought a long time ago. She pushed the last crate into the receiving area and scanned the delivery confirmation on her datapad. A large alien with gray skin and 4 arms took the crates without a word. Una turned to leave. That's when she heard the scream. It came from deeper in the station, past the cargo area. Una told herself to ignore it. This wasn't her business. She had delivered the cargo. She should go back to the ship. But her feet carried her forward anyway. She followed the sound through a corridor and into a wide open space. It was some kind of market area, with stalls and vendors selling weapons and armor. A crowd of aliens had gathered in a circle watching something. Una pushed through the crowd until she saw what was happening. A small alien lay on the ground. It looked like a lizard, maybe 3 feet tall with green scales and huge eyes. It was bleeding from its side. Standing over it was a massive creature, easily 8 feet tall with thick red scales and arms like tree trunks. Its face was flat with a wide mouth full of sharp teeth. This was a Vrax, one of the apex predators, the most dangerous species in this part of the galaxy. "Please," the small alien squeaked. Its voice was high and scared. "I meant no disrespect, honored warrior," the Vrax laughed. It was a deep, wet sound. "You looked at me wrong, little worm." "That is disrespect enough." The Vrax raised a clawed hand. The small alien closed its eyes. Una didn't think. She just moved. She stepped into the circle and stood between the Vrax and the small alien. The crowd went silent. Someone gasped. The Vrax stared at her. Its eyes were yellow and cold. "What is this?" "Leave it alone," Una said. Her voice was steady. The Vrax tilted its head. Then it started laughing. The whole crowd joined in. The sound echoed through the market, loud and mocking. "A human," the Vrax said, still laughing. "A prey animal thinks it can challenge Thex." It said its own name like it was something important. Una didn't move. She kept her eyes on Thex. Thex stopped laughing. He leaned down until his face was inches from Una's. His breath smelled like rotting meat. "You are brave for prey, or stupid?" "I think stupid." "Maybe," Una said. "But I'm not moving." Thex's smile faded. He straightened to his full height and looked around at the crowd. "This human insults me. She protects prey in my presence. She forgets her place." He looked back at Una. "I could kill you now. Snap your neck easy." "You could try," Una said. The crowd gasped again. Thex's eyes narrowed. "Or," Thex said slowly, "we can make this interesting." He pointed toward a massive door at the far end of the market. "The battle arena, you fight there, alone, 5 opponents. All predators. All killers." His smile returned. "If you survive, I let the little worm go. I even give humans respect. If you die," he shrugged, "then you die like prey should." Una glanced down at the small alien behind her. It was shaking, still bleeding. Its huge eyes looked up at her with fear and hope mixed together. She looked back at Thex. And if I refuse? Thex's hand shot out faster than she could see. His claws stopped an inch from her throat. Then I kill you both now, slowly, the small alien whimpered. Una felt her heart pounding in her chest. She knew what the battle arena was. Everyone in the outer sectors knew. It was a death trap. A place where rich aliens watched challengers die for entertainment. No one survived 5 opponents. No one survived even 3, but if she refused, they both died right here. At least in the arena there was a chance. Maybe a small one. Maybe impossible. But a chance. Okay, Una said. I'll do it. The crowd erupted in noise. Some cheered. Some laughed. Thex's smile grew wider. Excellent, Thex said. He grabbed Una's shoulder with one massive hand. His claws dug into her jacket. The arena fights begin in 1 hour. You have that long to prepare, to pray to your human gods, to regret your choices. He shoved her toward the arena door. Una stumbled but caught herself. She looked back at the small alien one more time. It was staring at her like she had just saved its life. Maybe she had. Or maybe she had just delayed its death and guaranteed her own. Behind her, she heard footsteps. Minho pushed through the crowd, his face pale. Una, what did you do? Something stupid, she said quietly. The survival rate for solo challengers is 0, Minho said. 0, Una. No one has ever beaten 5 opponents alone. I know. Then why? Because I'm tired, Minho. She looked at him. I'm tired of running. I'm tired of being invisible. I'm tired of watching bad things happen and doing nothing. She took a breath. Someone had to do something. You're going to die. Probably. Una smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. But at least I'll die standing up. She turned and walked toward the arena door. The crowd parted for her. She could feel their eyes on her back. She could hear their whispers. Prey. Weak. Dead. Let them think that, she thought. Let them underestimate her. The arena door opened with a hiss. Inside was darkness. Una stepped through. Behind her, the door slammed shut. The preparation room was cold and empty. Gray walls. Gray floor. A single bench. On the wall hung pieces of light armor, the kind that wouldn't stop much but might prevent a single killing blow. Maybe. Una sat on the bench and tried to slow her breathing. Her hands were shaking. She pressed them against her knees until they stopped. A screen on the wall flickered to life. A voice spoke, mechanical and emotionless. Challenger registered. Human female. Height 5 feet 6 inches. Weight 130 pounds. Natural weapons none. Natural armor none. Threat assessment minimal. Thanks for the vote of confidence, Una muttered. The screen showed a map of the arena. It was a massive dome, maybe the size of 3 football fields. Different terrain filled the space. Rocky areas. Water pools. Thick fog zones. And in the center, an open killing ground where there was nowhere to hide. 5 opponents will be released at intervals. The voice continued. Weapons are scattered throughout the arena. Combat begins in 10 minutes. Survival is unlikely. Glory awaits those who die well. The screen went black. Una stood and walked to the armor. She pulled on the chest piece. It was light, made of some kind of synthetic material. It would protect her vital organs once. After that, it would be useless. She strapped on arm guards and leg guards. She left the helmet. It would limit her vision. She looked at herself in the polished metal wall. A small human woman in inadequate armor about to fight creatures designed to kill. She looked tired. She looked scared. Good, she thought. Fear keeps you alert. Fear keeps you alive. The door to the arena opened. Light and sound poured in. Una heard the crowd before she saw them. Thousands of aliens screaming and cheering and laughing. She walked through the door. The arena was bigger than she had imagined. The dome stretched high above her, transparent enough to show the stars beyond. All around the edges, seats rose up in massive tiers filled with aliens of every species. They pointed at her. Some threw trash. Most just laughed. Una walked to the center of the killing ground. The floor was hard-packed dirt mixed with sand. Dark stains covered it, blood from previous fights. Some of it looked fresh. A massive screen appeared in the air above the arena, showing her face. Her name appeared below it in Galactic Standard script. Ladies and gentlemen, a voice boomed across the arena. Today we have a special treat. A human has volunteered to face the challenge. A prey species. A soft skin. She will face 5 of our finest predators in single combat. The crowd roared. Some cheered. Most just laughed louder. Will she survive even one opponent? Unlikely. Will she die with honor? We shall see. In a private box high above, Yuna saw a figure watching her. It was another Vrax, but older, with scars covering its scales. It wore armor decorated with medals. This was War Master Drex, the owner of Crimson Fang, the architect of the arena. Their eyes met for a moment. Then the War Master looked away, bored already. "Release the first predator," the announcer's voice boomed. A gate opened on the far side of the arena. Something moved in the darkness beyond. It came out fast. The creature was 7 feet tall, walking on 2 legs like a human but covered in dark green scales. Its head was narrow with huge eyes and a mouth full of needle teeth. Its hands ended in claws as long as knives. Its tail whipped behind it. The crowd chanted its name. "Talon, Talon, Talon." The screen above showed information about the creature. A Talon, it said. Speed rating, exceptional. Killing efficiency, 97%. Wins, 43. Losses, 0. The Talon spotted Yuna. It opened its mouth and hissed, showing all those terrible teeth. Then it charged. It was fast. Faster than anything Yuna had ever seen. It closed the distance between them in seconds, claws raised, ready to tear her apart. Yuna stood perfectly still. She watched the Talon run. She watched its legs move. She watched its balance. At the last possible second, she stepped to the side. The Talon's claws whistled past her face, missing by inches. Its momentum carried it forward. It tried to turn, tried to adjust, but it was moving too fast. Yuna had positioned herself perfectly. Behind her was a jagged rock formation, part of the terrain. The Talon couldn't stop in time. It slammed into the rocks face first with a horrible crunch. The crowd gasped. The Talon staggered back, dazed. Blood ran from its snout. It shook its head, trying to clear its vision. Yuna didn't wait. She ran to the nearest weapon cache, a metal box half buried in the sand. She pulled it open. Inside were basic weapons, knives, a club, and a plasma blade. Its handle worn but functional. She grabbed the plasma blade and activated it. Blue energy hummed along the edge. The Talon recovered and charged again, but slower this time, more cautious. It circled her, looking for an opening. Yuna didn't give it one. She kept the blade between them, moving in small steps, always balanced. The Talon feinted left, then right. Yuna didn't fall for it. Then the Talon jumped, launching itself through the air, claws aimed at her throat. Yuna dropped to one knee and thrust upward with the blade. The Talon couldn't change direction in midair. It fell onto the blade, the energy cutting through its chest. It hit the ground behind her and didn't move again. The arena went silent. Completely silent. Then someone in the crowd cheered. Then another. Then the whole arena was screaming, half in excitement, half in disbelief. Yuna stood and turned off the plasma blade to save its charge. Her hands weren't shaking anymore. "Incredible," the announcer shouted. "The human has slain the Talon. But can she survive the second predator?" A different gate opened. The creature that emerged was nothing like the first. It was huge, maybe 9 feet tall and twice as wide. It looked like a bear made of stone, covered in thick gray armor plating. Its eyes were small and red. Its mouth was wide enough to swallow her whole. The screen named it Crusher. Strength rating, extreme. Defense rating, maximum. Wins 61. Losses, 0. The crowd chanted again. "Crusher, Crusher, Crusher!" The Crusher didn't charge. It walked slowly toward her, each step shaking the ground. It didn't need speed. Nothing could hurt it. Yuna looked at the plasma blade in her hand. It had worked on the Talon, but the Crusher's armor was too thick. The blade would barely scratch it. She needed to think. She needed to adapt. The Crusher roared and swung one massive arm. Yuna rolled away. The arm hit the ground where she had been standing, leaving a crater in the dirt. Yuna ran. Not away from the fight, but toward the terrain. She headed for the water zone, a section of the arena filled with pools and channels. The Crusher followed, slow but unstoppable. Yuna reached the water and splashed in. It was shallow, maybe knee-deep. The Crusher walked in after her, not caring about the water. Yuna looked around desperately. There had to be something she could use. Then she saw it. A broken plasma rifle half submerged in the water. Someone must have dropped it in a previous fight. She grabbed it and turned it over. The barrel was cracked. The power cell was intact but leaking. It wouldn't fire. But maybe. The Crusher was close now, raising both arms to crush her. Yuna pointed the rifle into the water and pressed the trigger. Nothing happened. She adjusted the power cell, forcing it to overload. The rifle started humming, getting hotter. The Crusher's arms came down. Yuna threw herself backward and tossed the rifle into the water between them. The rifle exploded. Not a big explosion, but enough. The power cell discharged all its energy into the water at once. Electricity arced through the pool, bright blue and crackling. The Crusher screamed. Its armor conducted the electricity perfectly. Every muscle in its body seized up. It fell into the water, twitching and smoking. Yuna climbed out of the pool, soaked and exhausted. The Crusher stopped moving. The crowd was going insane now. They weren't laughing anymore. They were screaming in excitement, standing up, waving their arms. 2 down, the announcer yelled. 2 predators dead. This human fights like nothing we've ever seen. In the VIP box, War Master Drex leaned forward in his seat. He was no longer bored. He was watching Yuna with intense focus. Interesting, he said quietly. His lieutenant, a younger Vrax, looked confused. Master, she's just lucky. No, Drex said. She's not fighting like prey. She's fighting like a hunter. He pulled up a data screen and started typing. Get me everything we have on humans. Their homeworld, their history, their biology, everything. Master, just do it. In the arena, Yuna stood dripping wet, breathing hard. The plasma blade was still in her hand. The crowd was still screaming. 2 down. 3 to go. She looked up at the gates, waiting for the next predator to emerge. Come on, then, she whispered. Yuna used the break between fights to catch her breath. Her legs ached. Her clothes were still wet from the water, making her cold. But she was alive. That was more than most people expected. She walked slowly around the arena, scanning for more weapons. She found another plasma blade in a cache near the rocky area. She took it and attached it to her belt. 2 blades were better than 1. The crowd was still loud, but different now. Before, they had laughed at her. Now they were watching closely. Some of them were actually cheering for her. The rest just wanted to see what she would do next. In the VIP box, War Master Drex was reading from his data screen. His expression had changed from bored to troubled. Earth, he said aloud. Classification Death World. Gravity 1.2 times galactic standard. Atmosphere, nitrogen-oxygen mix with corrosive properties. Weather systems violent and unpredictable. Native predators numerous and aggressive. His lieutenant looked over. Most species from death worlds don't survive off-planet, Master. They're too specialized. Humans are different, Drex said, still reading. They adapted. They learned to use tools. They became endurance hunters. He looked up. Do you know what that means? The lieutenant shook his head. It means they don't kill prey by being stronger or faster. They kill prey by following it. For days, for weeks if necessary. They just keep going until their target collapses from exhaustion. Drex looked back at the arena. We didn't test them. We assumed they were weak because they looked soft. We were wrong. Below, the announcer's voice boomed across the arena. And now, honored guests, for our 3rd predator. By special request, we have a volunteer. Thex of the Vrax warrior caste has demanded the honor of killing this human himself. The crowd roared approval. Thex was popular here. He had killed many challengers. A gate opened and Thex walked out. He was bigger than Yuna remembered. He carried a plasma spear, a weapon designed for maximum pain. His red scales gleamed under the arena lights. He smiled, showing all his teeth. Hello, little human, Thex called across the arena. I am impressed. You killed the Talon and the Crusher. Both were strong. He started walking toward her, but they were animals. Simple creatures. I am not simple. I am a warrior. I think, I plan, I hunt. Yuna didn't respond. She just watched him approach, her hand on the plasma blade at her belt. You embarrassed me in the market, Thex continued. You made me look weak in front of others. For that, I will make your death slow. He was close now, maybe 30 feet away. Yuna noticed he moved differently than the other predators. More controlled. More careful. He was analyzing her, looking for weaknesses. This was going to be harder. Thex suddenly charged, his spear aimed at her chest. Yuna barely dodged in time. The spear hissed past her, the plasma tip singing the air. Thex spun and struck again, faster than she expected. The spear cut across her shoulder. Pain exploded through her arm. She stumbled back, blood running down her sleeve. The crowd screamed with excitement. Thex smiled. First blood, good. I want you bleeding when you die. Yuna gritted her teeth against the pain. Her shoulder burned, but the cut wasn't deep. She could still fight. She drew both plasma blades and activated them. Thex laughed. 2 blades? You think that makes you dangerous? He attacked again, his spear a blur of movement. Yuna blocked with 1 blade, then the other. But Thex was strong. Each impact sent shocks through her arms. She was being driven backward, losing ground. Thex's spear got past her guard and slammed into her ribs. The armor took most of the hit, but she felt something crack inside. The pain made her vision blur. She fell to one knee, gasping. Weak, Thex said, standing over her. Just like I said, pray. He raised his spear for the killing blow. Yuna's mind raced. She couldn't beat him with strength. She couldn't beat him with speed. But she could beat him with terrain. As Thex's spear came down, Yuna rolled to the side and ran. Not away from him, but toward the fog zone. It was an area filled with thick white fog created by some kind of machine. The fog was so thick you couldn't see 3 feet in front of you. Running, Thex called after her. That only delays death. He followed her into the fog. Inside, everything was white. Yuna couldn't see anything. Her footsteps were muffled by the fog. She stopped running and stood still, listening. She heard Thex moving nearby. Heavy footsteps, confident he was tracking her. I can smell you, human, Thex called out. His voice echoed in the fog. Vraks have excellent senses. You cannot hide from me. Yuna said nothing. She moved quietly to the side, her footsteps silent. She breathed through her mouth to make less noise. She heard Thex moving closer. Your blood smells sweet, like fear. Yuna reached up and grabbed a piece of her torn sleeve. She tore it off and threw it away from her into the fog. It made a soft sound when it landed. Thex's footsteps changed direction, moving toward the sound. Got you. Yuna moved the opposite way, circling around behind him. She could hear him clearly now, just ahead. She couldn't see him, but she could hear him breathing. Hear his armor creaking. Hear his spear cutting through the fog. She waited. Patient. Still. Thex passed close to her, maybe 5 feet away. He was focused on where he thought she was, not where she actually stood. Yuna saw her chance. She lunged forward, both plasma blades cutting through the fog. She aimed for where she heard him, where his footsteps had been. She felt the blades connect. Thex screamed. The fog suddenly cleared as Thex stumbled out of the fog zone, blood pouring from his leg and arm. Yuna had cut him deep. He was hurt. Really hurt. The crowd went wild. Thex turned, his eyes filled with rage. You cut me. Yeah, Yuna said, emerging from the fog. I did. They faced each other across the killing ground. Both were bleeding now. Both were hurt. But Thex's wounds were worse. He charged one last time, roaring in fury, but he was slower now, weaker. Yuna saw the spear coming and stepped inside his guard. She drove both plasma blades up under his chest plate into his vital organs. Thex's eyes went wide. He dropped his spear. He looked down at the blades in his chest, then at Yuna's face. You told me. Humans were prey, Yuna said, her voice quiet but hard. But prey doesn't hunt. Prey doesn't plan. Prey doesn't win. She pulled the blades free. Thex fell to his knees, then collapsed forward onto the sand. The arena was silent for a long moment. Then the crowd exploded. Half of them were cheering. The other half were screaming in shock and anger. A human had just killed Thex. Thex, who had never lost a fight. Thex, who was supposed to be superior. Yuna turned off her blades and clutched her ribs. They hurt badly. Her shoulder was still bleeding. She was exhausted. But she was alive, 3 down. 2 to go. In the VIP box, War Master Drek stood up slowly. His lieutenant looked frightened. Master, this is wrong. A human shouldn't be able to do this. But she is doing it, Drek said. He pulled up more files on his data screen. What he read made his blood run cold. Listen to this. Human pain tolerance is 40% higher than galactic average. Their bodies produce natural chemicals during stress that allow them to ignore injuries. They can function with broken bones, torn muscles, and massive blood loss. He looked at his lieutenant. We've been sending predators against a species that evolved to survive predators. What do? We watch, Drek said. And we learn. In the arena, Yuna found a medical station, a small box with basic supplies. She used a spray to stop the bleeding on her shoulder. She wrapped her ribs with a compression bandage. It wasn't much, but it would help. She drank some water from a dispenser. Her throat was dry. Her hands were shaking again, but from exhaustion now, not fear. The announcer's voice returned. Ladies and gentlemen, 3 predators dead. Thex himself has fallen. But now we reach the true test. Predator number 4 is being released. A gate opened. Something moved in the darkness beyond, but Una couldn't see what it was. The Phantom, the announcer cried. A stealth predator. Invisible. Silent, deadly. 30 challengers have faced the Phantom. 30 challengers have died without ever seeing their killer. The crowd's excitement reached a fever pitch. Una stared at the empty arena floor. Nothing was there. But somewhere something was hunting her, something she couldn't see. She gripped her plasma blades tighter. Come on then, she whispered. I'm still standing. Una stood in the center of the arena, turning slowly. The Phantom was out there somewhere, invisible, hunting her. She couldn't see it. Couldn't hear it. But she could feel eyes on her. The crowd had gone quieter now. They were watching too, trying to spot the Phantom. It was part of the entertainment. Nobody ever saw it until it was too late. Una's eyes moved across the arena, looking for any sign. A shimmer in the air, a disturbance in the sand, anything, nothing. She took a slow breath and thought. The Phantom could bend light somehow. That's how it stayed invisible. But light wasn't the only sense she had. She had hearing, touch. She had her mind, and she had the crowd. Una looked up at the thousands of aliens in the seats. They were all staring at the arena floor. Their heads moved slightly, tracking something she couldn't see. They could see the Phantom. Not clearly, but enough. A smile crossed her face. The crowd would tell her where it was. She watched their eyes. A section on her left gasped. Their heads turned, following something moving. Una tracked the direction. The Phantom was circling her from the left side, about 20 feet out. She pretended not to notice. She turned the other way, acting like she was searching randomly, but in her mind she was calculating. The Phantom was moving clockwise around her. Speed walking pace. Distance 20 feet. More gasps from the crowd. A section in front of her leaned forward. The Phantom was getting closer. 15 feet now. Una's hand moved to her belt where she had attached the second plasma blade. She needed to time this perfectly. If she missed, the Phantom would disappear again and she might not get another chance. 10 feet. The crowd's eyes followed the invisible predator. Some of them were holding their breath. 5 feet. Una could hear something now. A very faint sound. Breathing, not human breathing. Something else. Something with 3 sets of lungs clicking in rhythm. 3 feet. The crowd directly in front of her stood up, trying to see better. Una spun and threw the plasma blade with everything she had. The blade flew through empty air, spinning, its blue energy humming. For a moment it looked like she had missed completely. Then the blade hit something. The air shimmered. The Phantom appeared, a creature like a mantis made of silver metal and black flesh. The blade was buried in its throat. It staggered backward, its camouflage failing. The crowd screamed. The Phantom tried to pull the blade out, but its hands were shaking. Black blood poured from the wound. It took 1 step toward Una, then collapsed onto the sand, 4 down. The arena erupted in chaos. Aliens were jumping up and down, screaming at the top of their lungs. Some were angry. Some were amazed. Some were throwing credits at each other, settling bets. Una walked over to the Phantom's body and retrieved her plasma blade. She was breathing hard. Her ribs hurt with every breath. Her shoulder had started bleeding again through the bandage. She was tired. So tired, but there was one more. The announcer's voice cut through the noise. Unprecedented. 4 predators dead. Ladies and gentlemen, we are witnessing history. In the VIP box, War Master Drex was standing at the window, staring down at Una. His data screen showed page after page of information about humans. Evolution, history, biology. The more he read, the more disturbed he became. Master, his lieutenant said nervously. Perhaps we should stop this. She's made her point. No, Drex said. Release the Void Reaper. The lieutenant's face went pale. Master, the Reaper has never been beaten. It's killed every challenger it's ever faced, some within seconds. I know, Drex said quietly. I need to see what she does. I need to know if humans are what I think they are. What do you think they are? Drex didn't answer. He just watched Una, standing alone in the arena, waiting for the final predator. The massive gate at the far end of the arena began to open. Not quickly, slowly, dramatically. The crowd went silent. Even the announcer said nothing. Everyone knew what was coming. The Void Reaper emerged from the darkness. It was a nightmare made real. 12 feet tall, built like a bear but walking on two legs. Its body was covered in black armor plating that looked like insect carapace. Its arms ended in claws the size of swords. Its head was massive, with a mouth that split open in 4 directions, showing layers of teeth. Its eyes glowed red in the arena lights. This wasn't just a predator. This was a bioengineered weapon, something created in a lab to be the perfect killer. It had fought in the arena 30 times. It had won 30 times. Most challengers died within seconds. The screen showed its statistics. Strength maximum. Speed exceptional. Defense extreme. Special abilities. Acidic blood regeneration, enhanced senses, armor plating that could withstand plasma fire. Wins 30. Losses 0. The Void Reaper saw Yuna and roared. The sound was so loud it shook the arena. Aliens in the front rows covered their ears. Yuna stood her ground. She had 1 plasma blade left. Her armor was half destroyed. She was injured, exhausted, and facing something that shouldn't be possible to kill. The Reaper charged. It moved faster than anything that size should be able to move. The ground shook with each step. It covered the distance between them in seconds. Yuna ran, not toward the terrain this time, not toward the fog or water. She ran toward the center of the arena where a massive platform stood. It was a structure used for dramatic effect, held up by support beams and decorated with the arena's symbols. The Reaper followed, its claws tearing up the sand as it ran. Yuna reached the platform and climbed up the side. The Reaper was right behind her. Its claw swiped at her leg, missing by inches. She could feel the wind from the swing. She reached the top of the platform 20 feet above the arena floor. The Reaper climbed up after her, its claws digging into the metal like it was paper. On top, there was nowhere to run. Just an open space with the support beams visible below through gaps in the floor. The Reaper pulled itself onto the platform and stood to its full height. It roared again, closer this time. Yuna could see inside its mouth, see the rows and rows of teeth, see the glowing organs in its throat. She raised her plasma blade. It looked tiny compared to the Reaper. They fought. The Reaper was strong and fast, but Yuna was desperate. She dodged its claws by centimeters. She ducked under its swings. She rolled away from its strikes. She couldn't hurt it. Her blade bounced off its armor. But she kept moving. The Reaper's claw caught her leg, cutting deep. She screamed and fell. The Reaper moved in for the kill. Yuna saw a gap in the platform floor near the support beams. She saw the structure of the platform, how it was held together. She saw the weak points. As the Reaper's claw came down, she rolled toward the support beam. She jammed her plasma blade into the joint where the beam connected to the platform. The blade cut through the metal. Sparks flew. "Come on," she muttered, cutting faster. "Come on." The Reaper grabbed her with one massive hand, lifting her off the ground. It brought her close to its face. Its breath was hot and smelled like death. The support beam gave way. The platform lurched to one side. The Reaper stumbled, trying to keep its balance. Yuna stabbed the plasma blade into its hand. It wasn't enough to hurt it seriously, but it was enough to make it drop her. She fell back onto the tilting platform and slid toward the edge. She grabbed onto a piece of metal and held on. The Reaper tried to move toward her, but the platform was collapsing. Another support beam snapped. Then another. The whole structure came down. Yuna and the Reaper fell together, 20 feet down onto the wreckage below. Metal beams and panels crashed around them. Yuna hit hard and felt something in her leg break. Pain exploded through her body. The Reaper landed on its back on top of a broken support beam. The beam, sharp and jagged, punched through its armor and into its body. The Reaper screamed and thrashed, but the beam had gone through completely. It was pinned. Black acidic blood poured from the wound, eating away at the metal around it. The Reaper tried to pull itself free, but every movement drove the beam deeper. Yuna crawled out of the wreckage. Her leg was definitely broken. She could barely move. Blood ran from cuts all over her body. Her vision was blurry. But she was alive. The Reaper was still moving, still trying to free itself. Its regeneration was working, trying to heal the massive wound. But it wasn't fast enough. Yuna found her plasma blade in the wreckage. She dragged herself toward the Reaper, her broken leg trailing behind her. Every movement was agony. The Reaper saw her coming and thrashed harder, but it was stuck. Yuna pulled herself up to its head. The Reaper snapped at her with its massive jaws, but she stayed just out of reach. She raised the plasma blade with both hands. "You were designed to be perfect," she said, her voice rough and tired. "But nothing's perfect." She drove the blade through its eye and into its brain. The Reaper shuddered once, then went still. The arena was completely silent. Not a single sound. Thousands of aliens stared in absolute shock at the scene below. A small human woman, broken and bleeding, standing over the Void Reaper. Then someone started clapping. Just one alien. Then another. Then the entire arena erupted in the loudest cheer Yuna had ever heard. She collapsed onto the wreckage and closed her eyes. Yuna woke up in a white room. For a moment she thought she was dead. Then the pain hit her and she knew she was very much alive. Dead people didn't hurt this much. She tried to sit up and immediately regretted it. Her ribs screamed. Her leg was in some kind of cast. Her shoulder was bandaged. She could feel stitches in places she didn't want to think about. "Don't move," a voice said. Yuna turned her head slowly. Minho sat in a chair next to the bed. He looked terrible. His eyes were red and puffy. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. "How long?" Yuna asked. Her voice was rough. 2 days, Minho said. "You've been unconscious for 2 days. The doctors said you lost a lot of blood. They had to reconstruct your leg. They said it's a miracle you're alive." Yuna smiled weakly. "I'm stubborn." "You're insane," Minho said, but there were tears in his eyes.
"What you did?"
"I watched the whole thing. We all did. Everyone on every station in the outer sectors watched it. You're famous now. They're calling you the Arena Breaker." "I don't want to be famous," Yuna said. "I just wanted to save that kid. Pip, is he okay?" "He's fine. He's outside. He won't leave. He says you're his hero." The door opened. A Vrax entered, but not Thex. This one was older, covered in scars. War Master Drex Minho stood up, nervous. "I should go." "Stay," Drex said. His voice was deep but not hostile. "You should hear this too." Drex walked to the foot of Yuna's bed and looked at her for a long moment. "You have complicated matters, human." "Sorry," Yuna said. "Didn't mean to." "Yes, you did," Drex said. "You meant to prove something. You meant to show us that we were wrong." He pulled up a chair and sat down heavily. "And you succeeded." He pulled out a data pad and set it on the bed where Yuna could see it. "I spent 2 days researching your species, humans. I learned things I wish I had known before we brought you here, before we built our society on the assumption that apex predators are superior. We're not that special," Yuna said. "You're wrong," Drex said. He tapped the data pad. "Your planet Earth is a death world. Do you know what that means? Most species evolve on stable planets with gentle climates. Your planet tried to kill you every single day. Extreme weather, deadly diseases, megafauna predators that hunted your ancestors for millions of years." He leaned forward. "But you survived. Not by being stronger. Not by being faster. You survived by being smarter. By refusing to give up. By hunting predators until they collapsed from exhaustion. By adapting faster than anything else on your planet could adapt." He paused. "You survived by being relentless." "What's your point?" Yuna asked. "My point is that this arena, this entire station, is built on a lie. We tell ourselves that apex predators are superior. That creatures with claws and fangs and armor are the most dangerous. But you proved that wrong. A human with no natural weapons, no natural armor, and half dead from injuries killed 5 of our finest predators, including the Void Reaper, which has never been beaten." Drex stood up. "You have changed something here. Whether you meant to or not, humans can no longer be dismissed as weak, as prey." "Good," Yuna said. "Now shut down this arena. No more fights. No more killing for entertainment." Drex was quiet for a moment. "I cannot do that immediately. This station is owned by many powerful interests. But I can promise you this. I will take your story to the Galactic Council. I will show them what I learned about humanity. And I will advocate for change." "That's not good enough," Yuna said. "It's the best I can offer," Drex said. "Politics moves slowly. But movements start with single actions. You started something today." He walked to the door, then turned back. "One more thing. Your contract has been paid in full, triple the original amount. And transportation has been arranged for you back to human space whenever you're ready to leave." He left. Minho sat back down. "He's right, you know. Everything's changed. I've been reading the news feeds. Human colonies are celebrating. Some of the predator species are angry, but they're also scared. You scared them." Yuna closed her eyes. She didn't feel like a hero. She felt tired and hurt and ready to sleep for a week. The door opened again. Pip, the small lizard alien, peeked in. When he saw Yuna was awake, he rushed over to the bed. "You're okay!" They said you were okay, but I had to see. "Hey, kid," Yuna said. "You doing all right?" "Because of you," Pip said. His huge eyes were wet. "You saved me. You didn't have to. You could have walked away, but you didn't." "Yeah, well," Yuna said. "Someone had to do something." "You're a hero," Pip said. "I'm just a cargo pilot." "You're my hero," Pip said firmly. "And I'm staying with you, if that's okay. I want to learn from you. I want to be brave like you." Yuna looked at Minho. He shrugged. "Kid's stubborn. Reminds me of someone." "Fine," Yuna said to Pip. "But I'm not a hero. I'm just someone who was too tired to keep running." 3 weeks later, Yuna's ship left Crimson Fang Station. Her leg was still healing, but the doctors said she would make a full recovery. Minho piloted while Yuna rested in the co-pilot seat. Pip sat in the back reading everything he could find about humans. As they passed through the outer sectors, something had changed. When they docked at stations for refueling, aliens stared at Yuna, but not with contempt anymore. With respect, sometimes with fear, sometimes with something close to awe. A human diplomat named Jiwan arrived at one station to meet them. She was young, maybe 30, with sharp eyes and an official uniform. "Yuna Park," Jiwan said. "I'm from the Human Colonial Authority. I've been trying to reach you for days." "I'm not interested in politics," Yuna said. "I'm not asking you to be," Jiwan said. "But you need to understand what you've done. Human colonies across the outer sectors are reporting less harassment, less discrimination. Species that used to attack human ships are giving them space, because of you." "I just fought for my life," Yuna said. "And in doing so, you changed how the galaxy sees humanity," Jiwan said. "We're not prey anymore. We're not weak anymore. We're people who shouldn't be pushed." She handed Yuna a data chip. "If you ever want to tell your story officially, contact me. The galaxy needs to hear it from you." Yuna took the chip but didn't promise anything. Months passed. Yuna went back to running cargo. She avoided the arena sectors. She tried to live quietly, but the universe wouldn't let her. One day, at a small station on the edge of human space, a young girl approached her. Human, maybe 10 years old, with her mother standing nearby. "Excuse me," the girl said shyly. "Are you Yuna Park?" "From the arena?" Yuna nodded. "My mom says you taught the galaxy that humans don't give up. Is that true?" Yuna looked at the girl. She thought about lying, telling her it was all exaggerated. But the girl's eyes were so hopeful. "Yeah," Yuna said. "That's true. Humans don't give up. Even when things seem impossible. Even when we're hurt and scared. We keep going," the girl smiled. "Thank you." After the girl left with her mother, Minho looked at Yuna. "You're a symbol now. Whether you like it or not." "I know," Yuna said. "I just want to fly cargo and be left alone." "Too late for that," Minho said. "You're the woman who walked into the battle arena alone and walked back out. That's not something people forget." Pip looked up from his reading. "I found something interesting. The arena on Crimson Fang is closing next month. They're converting it to a cultural center. War Master Drex convinced the owners." Yuna looked surprised. "He actually did it." "Your fight changed minds," Pip said. "People started asking questions. Why do we celebrate death? Why do we assume predators are superior? Your fight made them think." That night, alone in her quarters, Yuna looked at the data chip Jiwan had given her. She thought about telling her story, about making sure people understood what really happened. But then she thought about the young girl at the station, about how she had looked at Yuna with hope in her eyes, about how the galaxy was slowly changing, becoming a place where humans didn't have to be afraid. Maybe that was enough. Maybe she didn't need to be a symbol. Maybe what she had done was enough to start something bigger than herself. She put the data chip away and went to sleep. Weeks later, Yuna's ship dropped out of hyperspace near a small colony world. It was a delivery run. Nothing special. Nothing exciting. As they approached the landing pad, Pip pointed at something. "Look, there was a mural painted on the side of a building. It showed a small figure standing in an arena, surrounded by fallen predators. Above it, written in multiple languages, were the words, 'She walked into their battle arena alone.' None of the apex predators walked out." Yuna stared at it for a long moment. Then she smiled. Not a big smile, just a small, tired one. "Let's deliver this cargo," she said. "We've got work to do." The ship landed. Una climbed out, still limping slightly on her repaired leg. Mino and Pip followed. Around them, life went on. Ships came and went. Aliens of different species moved cargo and traded goods. But now, when humans walked among them, they walked with their heads held high. They walked without fear, because one woman had stood when everyone expected her to run. Because one person had proved that humanity's strength wasn't in claws or fangs or armor. It was in their refusal to give up. Their refusal to stop. Their refusal to accept that they were anything less than survivors. Una Park, cargo pilot, walked across the landing pad toward another delivery. Another job. Another day. Just another human living in a galaxy that had finally learned to respect them. And that was enough.